What you want to look for is this, wow, my speed's all over the place, sorry, is this green box right here at the bottom. And also you don't, by this point, you really don't, any amber alerts, anything other than blue stuff, you want to take care of that before takeoff. But if you don't have this green box, it usually tells you what you need to do. For example, if I turn my auto brakes off again, or if I, or say I turn off the auto spoilers, it's going to say spoilers right there. So it tells you what you need to do. It's really helpful. But so that green box means we are ready for takeoff, and it's going to take a little while to. We're still a little while out yet. Another thing to do, we're going to arm the heading, which, like I said, I hate these knobs. But you know they want us to maintain runway heading, and so we're going to do that by setting up the autopilot to what you want to do is you want to get this flat hand thing here and right click on it, and then it should say, no, it doesn't. That's because I haven't armed auto flight yet. That's right. So we're going to arm auto flight, and it's going to blink here, and then right click, and now see how it says, hold up, let me make this turn, and then I will we're going to cut across 27, the end of it. And I'm lazy, so I'm going outside. You can make fun of me if you want to. Because I'm making way more turns than I really need to anyway. Okay. Anyway, if you look here, it says heading 005 instead of nav, and so that means that the pitch and roll cues that it's going to give you are going to be for maintaining runway heading, which we are going to do until ATC tells us to do otherwise. See, slow down a bit to make this turn. Of course, they picked the runway that was the farthest away from where we were parked. Seems like life. I suppose if I had good video editing skills, I could shorten all this and cut out the boring parts, but I'm not that special, so y'all get to sit here bored. And I'm sorry for that. But we're almost there, don't worry. A couple of, I guess, I know a lot of people in the flight sim community snub their nose at using time compression and at using pause. And I can definitely understand where they're coming from, because you don't have those things in the real world, so why should you have them in a flight sim? But I do use both of them because, well, for one, as far as time compression goes, because the hard parts of the flight are not cruise. Cruise flight is easy. The fun part of flying is takeoff and landing, and so I don't have 5 hours to devote to just sitting in front of my computer, and so I'm going to use time compression. As far as pause, in the real world, you have 2 people, so the workload is divided up. Also, in the real world, you're not using a computer mouse to click buttons that keep moving around.
Delta 744, contact tower 118.3.
Tower on 118.3, Delta 744. Tower Delta 744, ready for departure, runway 36 right.
Delta 744, roger.
Okay, anyway, you have, in a real airplane, it's a lot easier to fly with one hand and reach out and turn knobs and set buttons and all sorts of other things with the other. In a flight sim, using a mouse to click buttons, it's just not as easy. It takes a lot of work. And so a lot of times I will pause it on climb out to set the heading bugs and to set the altitude bugs where they need to be as I get my ATC clearance, because otherwise it's just the only way that I can do it. But that's just a personal view. I'm also going to pause it a couple of times on the takeoff roll and wherever else to explain things as it's happening. So don't yell at me or anything. Anyway, we're almost here. And this is where we use time compression. Whee! I don't usually go above 4x because then you have to sit through a loading screen. And, oh, one thing to point out about the MD-11, you can't just go by engine sounds because the cockpit's so far away from the engines that you don't really hear them. So when you're setting power, go
Delta 744, tower, runway 36, right, taxi into position and hold.
Taxi into position and hold. Runway 36 right. Roger. Delta 744.
Anyway, man, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, when you're setting power, you have to go by your engine instruments. You can't go by throttle position. You can't just go by the sound of the engines because, like I said, you can't hear them. So, it's one of those things you might not realize, and then all of a sudden you're going way too fast, and you don't realize it. So, anyway, we're about to get to the fun part. So I'm going to shut up. One important thing about lining up with the runway, do not don't waste runway length trying to line up perfectly with the center line. Just get pretty close and you can fix it on the takeoff roll. Again, like I said, look off to the side that you're making the turn and then go. You want to go past it a bit. Now, he told us to taxi into position and hold, so we're going to stop here. And then we're going to have like 6 things to do once he gives us clearance, so be ready.